We're going to begin the meeting with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Came back. Starting tonight off with a public hearing to consider a proposed local law to amend sections of Articles 268 and 345 of the Village Code to clarify regulations regarding signs in the Village of Baldwinsville. Yeah, could you do the proof of it?
Notice is hereby given that pursuant to Section 7-706 of the Village Law of the State of New York and pursuant to resolution, the Village Board of the Village of Baldwinsville adopted November 7, 2024, a public hearing will be held by the Village Board, the Village of Baldwinsville, at Village Hall, 16 West Tennessee Street, Baldwinsville, New York, 13027, on the 21st day of November 2024 at 7:30 p.m. to consider a proposed local law to amend sections of Articles 268 and 345 of the Village Code to clarify regulations regarding signs in the Village of Baldwinsville. A copy of the proposed local law may be examined by any interested party at the office of the village clerk. At the time and place of the hearing, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard by order of the Village Board of the Village of Baldwinsville, dated November 7, 2024, Baldwinsville, New York.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the proposal?
Well, I suppose I should. Kevin Baker, 40 West Tennessee Street, member of the zoning board. We kind of took some time to review the sign law. We came up with some recommendations, and I think all the changes are based on the recommendations. Basically, we wanted to add some missing definitions, kind of clean up some areas of confusion. We added some best practice items based on New York State recommendations. And we did have a new section of code to allow for the suspended signs that we see all over the village.
So you're in favor of it?
I am in favor of it.
Okay.
And the zoning board is in favor of it.
Well, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the proposal? Hearing no one else approaching the mic, may I have a motion to adjourn and close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Could I have a motion to approve the village board meeting minutes from November 7th, 2024?
Move.
Second.
Any corrections, deletions?
There's nothing about Nate's stone being moved, though. I saw that in the minutes.
Yeah, no, we're gonna discuss that.
Okay,
It is,
okay.
I mean, it's just ridiculous, the placement. It's just, might as well not even be on the thing at all.
I found it. I was down there. I found it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you, Eric.
No problem.
Thanks, Eric.
Citizen comments. Is there anyone wishing to adjust any items on our agenda this evening? If not, we'll move on to trustees' comments, and we'll start with Donna this evening.
Well, I said what I needed to say during the work session, so I'm good.
Do you want to share with the public or not? Okay.
No, I have nothing to add right now.
Okay.
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and see you guys out at the turkey trot. I'm anticipating there's going to be some sort of ambulance there for some people who haven't run in a couple of
Are
decades.
you anticipating you need their services?
Yeah,
or?
it's just it's an inquiry more than anything.
Are you running?
Yeah. My father-in-law wants me to die on Thanksgiving, apparently. So.
To answer your inquiry, yes, there will be emergency medical personnel on scene.
All right, cool.
On
Thank
bike
you.
events, do you have sag wagons? Do you have such things for running things?
Say that again?
You know, and if they were biking, there would be a sag wagon that'd come along and pick up the people at the end.
There is a vehicle that follows
Trailer.
along to
Trailer?
yeah. There is a trail vehicle there,
I think it's
yeah.
a garbage truck.
It'll be an appropriate vehicle, how's that?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
With the bed.
Outside of this awesome conversation, I'll stick to the agenda.
Trustee Seco.
Just wanted to remind everybody about our tree lighting and parade of lights on November 30th. And also we had our tree put up this past Tuesday, and thank you to Taryn and his crew, and then Mike and his crew for that whole process. And a special thank you to Shannon Luke for donating the tree. I can't remember what street she was.
Division Street.
Division Street, yes. So that's about it. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody too.
Just the agenda for me, thank you.
Okay.
Our kids over at the junior high school are pretty on Dear Edwina Jr., I believe it's pronounced. My daughter, I think she's at the performance right now. They're a little preview, but the regular performances are going to be Friday at 7, Saturday at 1, and Sunday at 7. So we have amazing, talented kids. I'm always blown away how great our theater program is in this community. You do need to get tickets in advance, I believe, but they are free if you go to beevilletheater.com. And I'll stay to the agenda. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Okay, before I go to mayor's comments, I will point out that we're missing one trustee this evening, that he's under the weather. And regrets that he can't be with us, though he's probably watching the basketball game according to Nate.
They're down by 9 points, so he should be under the weather.
Yeah. He's not feeling any better. Okay. So, check off Mike. Megan brought up in our work session that I've been talking with a company about community solar opportunities for residents in the village of Baldwinsville. And potentially, we'll enter into an agreement where the village will work with them to promote this concept to residents, taking away some of the mystique of who is this company that says, I don't know, as I was saying, I get several inquiries weekly, probably in the mail, from companies I don't know who they are, who are offering to sign me up. This one, in all of them, if you sign up, if an individual signs up for community solar, we get credit with NYSERDA based on numbers. 10's the first step, and it goes at 20, and then on up. And you get points toward applying for environmental grants that NYSERDA provides. This company also alluded to the concept of giving the village $50 per person per household that signed up, which, since we all like revenue, would not be something that we would scoff at. What they would like to do is be part of, say, maybe Big Chill, if there was an opportunity for them to show what they are, or part of Seneca River Days, or part of things going on in our community, that they could be part of it to show people what's available. So that was one thing I worked on this week. This week I spent most of my time, I think, in Zoom meetings. The LWRP, does everybody know what that is? Local Waterfront Revitalization Program. Okay, that's, we've reached the point, 2 municipalities, townships in the village, it's 2 supervisors and myself, and working with county planning, have put out RFPs. We've narrowed it down to a single company that we now will meet, that we would like to award the contract to. It all has to be approved by the Department of State, which adds a little time to everything you do. Is that delicate enough? But in any case, we're at that point. This will then become a program. The contracted group will reach out and be involving the community. We'll be looking for everybody's input, whether they're public meetings periodically or online things, to try and get what our community, being Camp Buren, Ballsville, and Lysander, on the waterfront, would like to see happening there. And then they will, at the end of the time period when they've evaluated where to look at and what to look at, hopefully what they'll turn out is a half dozen to a dozen fundable projects that, once it's part of this program and accepted by DOS, then becomes eligible for funding grants, so you can go ahead and implement. So this is another one of the wickets that exists in New York State to be able to move forward. But I'm glad to say that's no longer going to be weekly Zoom meetings, it's going to be a little less. I assume everybody here will have an opportunity to participate as they desire. I will keep you informed. Trustees have mentioned Parade of Lights, Turkey Trot. These are two of the busier days in the village of Baldwinsville. Those of you who find traffic to be a challenge in Baldwinsville should make note of when these occur, because you're not driving through certain parts of the community. It's not passable. But there's many routes out and around. Parade of Lights ties in with the tree lighting ceremony. That's on the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And they've tried to restrict the numbers of vehicles this year a little bit, but from my understanding, but it still takes an hour for them all to get through. The Turkey Trot, I unfortunately live in the middle of both of these things. The Turkey Trot will go off Thursday morning, so if you happen to be trying to get to a house that's in the middle of the Turkey Trot, you might want to stop in and have a cup of coffee in the Beeville Diner or somewhere first. And once again, except for Nate, it'll be over pretty rapidly.
I know a shortcut, so.
Oh, okay. And something else that I was working on that I wanted to share with everybody is submitted a grant request, a DASNY grant proposal to Senator May's office on behalf of the Little League. The Little League pursued this. They wanted to, Dan's not here to explain. Little League got hit with astronomical electric bills because they run their lights in the night games, and that put them into I don't really understand National Grid, but when you use a certain amount of power in a certain time period, you move into a different billing level. And so they were getting charged a lot. National Grid came in and said, oh, you can fix this. Just break up the lights into multiple meters. So they brought in an electrician, and he estimated the bill would be $20,000, $30,000 because they need new transformers and all this stuff. So they pursued this grant of putting LED lights into some of the fields, which will have the same impact of lowering the usage. So we're pursuing that. Turned out that they wanted to do it, but the senator's office said, is the village okay with this? Because you don't own the stadium. You don't own Little League, the village does. So turned out I needed to do the application and submit it. And that's been done, went in this week. Other than that, unless anybody has any questions for me, I would be quiet. I will wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving also. And move on to our attorney.
I just one comment, and that is that the ZBA has done a tremendous job in working on that sign legislation that's going to be voted on tonight. But I'd like to specifically thank Kevin Baker, who did an outstanding job. He really put a lot of time and effort into that as a volunteer on the ZBA. So this should be called the Kevin Baker Act. Other than that, I have no comments and nothing on the agenda. I'll just stick with the agenda.
Thank you. Jody?
I just want to remind residents that village water bills are due on Monday the 25th. If they're not paid by then, they will be levied to the taxes for March. So if you don't know if you owe anything or don't know what your balance is, please give us a call either Friday or Monday, and we will be happy to share that with you.
Friday is in tomorrow.
Friday is in tomorrow.
And what's the status of Village Hall next Friday?
We are closed. Thursday and Friday, we will not be open.
Thank you.
And a reminder to people that they can set up their water bill to pay automatically
Yes, they
online,
can.
which is very helpful for people like me who get the little postcard or now the letter and set it aside, and then it doesn't always make it to the top when it should. So the automatic payment,
It's very useful.
saving me my late fees.
The Senior Center Coordinator, Renee.
Well, I'd also like to thank everybody and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. At the Senior Center, we do have upcoming tomorrow and Saturday, the seniors are putting on a craft show from 10 to 3. both on Friday and Saturday. Monday, we will be having, the 25th, we're going to have a small Thanksgiving get-together for the seniors. And then in the beginning of December, we've got a couple events coming up. We've got the Lafayette Community Band will be with us on December 3rd at 7 p.m. We invite everyone to join us. And then December 4th, we have our annual tree lighting ceremony at 4 p.m. at the center. And then that evening, the Baldwinsville Community Band will be with us at 7 p.m. And also to remind everyone in our community that the Rescue Mission is signing up for their Christmas meals. So if anyone is in need, please feel free to contact us at the center and we can get them signed up. And other than that, I'll stick to the agenda.
Okay. Move over to Public Works. Good evening, Darren.
Good evening. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving as well. Thank the police department and police chief for the help moving the Christmas tree from 9 Division Street. I'd like to give a shout out to our crews. Seeing them work over the last month has been phenomenal. We're blessed to have really professional, great crews. I was impressed with how they moved that tree from Division Street down here, and just the work they do every day. It's very impressive. We're lucky to have them. I would like to just say to the public, you will see mailers. You probably have seen the mailers coming in the mail from our water department. It's just we're going through an EPA mandated inventory of our lead in the system, or potential to have lead line services in the system. Nothing to be concerned about as of now. We test regularly. We don't have any lead in our system. It's just part of the inventory to potentially remediate in the future. And if you could fill out those forms, take pictures, send them back, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask. Could you specify, people get the letter and the first thing they see is lead and they panic?
They panic, yes.
What do you need them to do?
First, there's a phone number to call. You can call the water department. They can point you in the right direction. But what we need you to do is actually take a picture and send that picture with your address and your account number to the water department. And that will allow us to add it to our lead line inventory. Not that we have, every system does have lead. It's just figuring out where that is in the system.
So you actually want pictures. You don't want somebody to go down and say, "Oh, I have a copper line."
No, we do need pictures. That's part of this inventory. They need a physical proof.
Okay.
Can you explain where the picture?
The picture needs to be taken at the meter itself, and in the picture we'd want to see both the house side of the meter and the service side coming in.
The service side is the pipe going through your basement
Coming
wall.
through the wall from the road, yes.
Anything else?
That's it.
Now that we've dragged you through that.
Where are they emailing us to exactly? What's the email?
There's an email address on the form itself.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments for Darren? Darren? I called you Darren. That's a good one.
Call worse.
You've already been called a lot. Moving on to our police chief.
Thanks, sir. Couple things. Got word that we received a $9,000 grant for us to purchase a new fingerprint system, which is good because the one we have isn't really working well, and save me from having to put that as a capital project in the budget. So we'll be ordering that, and hopefully that will be up and operational in the near future once it's received. Which I'm very happy about. I appreciate you mentioning the turkey trot and the parade of lights. While those events will last maybe an hour each, we have to close those roads for a longer period of time. So traffic flow is disrupted for at least an hour and a half or so for the parade of lights, and a good hour on that parade, on the turkey trot route, depending on where in the route is we open it up in stages. Is the last runners/walkers make their way off of West Oneida Street, then we open that up, and same with artillery as that route goes along. So thank you for mentioning that. And then the last thing I mentioned at last meeting, and I'll continue to mention it, is our overnight parking ban that is in effect now. Please don't park on village streets. park on the driveways or one of the public parking lots that are available for you to park in. Again, the reason for that is so Taryn and his team can keep our roads clear, and we're issuing warning tickets. But when the snow does fly, we will issue parking tickets. Our goal is to issue no parking tickets. That never happens, but that's our goal. So if we could just get spread the word to people in that regard, be very appreciative. Other than that, unless there's questions, Mayor, that's all I have.
Any questions for him? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to pending business. Item A, can I have a motion approving a proposed local law to amend section 242 specifying regulation for food trucks? This is where you make.
Oh, yes, yeah, I move we table this.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Any discussion? We are working on it.
Yeah, we are.
It is not just week to week table. Just want to make sure we get it right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, carried. Item B, motion approving a proposed local law to change the zoning district of property located at 48 Salina Street from its current designation of R1 residential to a zoning district to the B1 zoning district.
I'll make a motion to table this as well.
I will second.
Any discussion? Very unlikely that it would become a B1, but all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item C, can I have a motion approving a proposed local law to amend sections of Articles 268 and 345 of the Village Code to clarify regulations regarding signs in the Village of Baldwinsville?
I'll make a motion to approve Kevin's law.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Thank you, Kevin. What are you moving on to next?
Food trucks.
Okay. Very good. New business, discussion of opting into New York cannabis law. And the reason we're doing this is the board feels, well, several years ago, was it 3 or 4 years ago, the state created their laws, and boards had an opportunity to either opt in or opt out or do nothing, and if you did nothing, you opted in by default. The Village Board of Baldwinsville opted to opt out because our sense was the state wasn't really prepared to roll this thing out as well as it needed to be. Since that time, the state's been working, and this board is no longer the same 7 faces that were here. So it was felt that it's worth revisiting. It does provide a revenue opportunity, potentially. It does provide potentially concerns that we want to address. So whatever, it's open, it's for this board to discuss, and if anybody wants to say anything, or go for it.
I'll just say that I appreciate the paperwork that was provided just prior to the meeting. I look forward to reading it over Thanksgiving.
Yep, absolutely.
You're more than welcome.
It's gonna make us hungry.
I'm going to read it to my parents in the car.
Nice.
I didn't give you the color version, Bob's got that.
That's all right. I can color it in my mind.
I found it interesting, parts of it interesting reading. It's the one thing that I want to get to all of you as you look at that. It's not as simple as yes or no. There's a lot of repercussions, a lot of angles that have to be considered when we consider what we want to do with it. This was something, I don't know what you were doing at 1:30 in the morning, but this is what I was doing last night at 1:30 in the morning. I was reading this stuff, and I'm going to send that to my village email so I can print it and share it.
Yep.
Well, one thing about this is that it's the town of Babylon on Long Island, and it's a suburban township with villages within it. And
When you read
So
that,
this is the
Don,
perspective of a township as opposed to the
and
village.
that one's interesting. When Babylon did it, they were the only legal place on Long Island. So it's like, whoa, that flooded.
That's a different, yeah.
Yeah, that's different than Baldwin's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some things in there might be applicable.
As we're discussing the revenue sharing, how that would work with the towns and how much money would actually possibly come in that matters versus, I don't know, if now's the time you want to share, if you want to share later on. So your perspective or?
I'll share later on.
Yeah, because I definitely am interested to hear what, your perspective on all this. And
Sure.
There's a lot to weigh in on.
Yeah,
this.
if I'd like to review whatever might be available and get a better handle on the law as well. As I mentioned, the question about whether opting in would be just a consumption site or just a dispensary and how that would work. I would have different viewpoints depending upon what the board was looking to approve or not approve, as the case may be.
Yeah,
Or at least make your decision.
Recreational versus
I don't think there's
medicinal.
anybody on board who would be advocating for consumption sites within the village.
No, but I don't know if there's anybody out there.
But there might be,
that's gonna
somebody might.
bill coming in and
But
lobbying.
I think on the board, we're sort of.
I would also like to point out that in addition, if the village did opt in, one of the things the village could also do is restrict use or vaping as well on municipal owned land, parkland.
Which Babylon did,
I'm sorry?
which the town of Babylon did.
Yeah, so I just wanted,
I thought we already did that when, with Onondaga County, that all of our parks were smoke-free and vape-free.
I'll have to check that. But
I thought there were, I think there's signs down there.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
signs
there were
down there.
signs there.
Rules that are honored in the breach.
Yeah,
But, you know, do our best.
we try. So, I assume this will be ongoing. There's no reason to make decisions until we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I do echo what Donna said. I do not support or perceive us having smoking lounges for consumption in the village. If somebody's buying, going home, that's one thing. Having a whole bunch of people under the influence now step out and get into their car is like nothing that I can see.
Of course, they might go into restaurants and spend money.
Oh, they might. Depends on what time. Okay, so we'll keep that. That'll move into pending business, I guess, for a while. Since we took one out, we can add one. Item B, motion to approve budget modifications as proposed in the document 2024-11-21, budget modifications for 2024-2025.
Budget. Budget.
Budget?
Yeah.
Okay, budget.
Didn't finish yours.
PDF.
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
You want me to share the discussion I had with our treasurer?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Okay, if you go to, well, you probably don't have it in front of you. There was a proposal to move $19,000 out of the water budget F8340-3, transmission, distribution, building maintenance, and take that $19,000 down to zero, moving it over into a contractual line to help balance that out. I sent an email to Mark and said, gee, that was in the budget per recommendation of the health department for backwashing of the diatomaceous earth filter, which hasn't been done for forever. Talked with Corey today about it, who is currently getting pricing on that. And so talked to Mark, and Mark and I discussed, well, do we pull this out of there? And then he'd find money somewhere else to cover this other thing. We decided we'll just leave it, and we'll go ahead with the project that we would want to do and fund it with a transfer of that, as opposed to trying to undo this whole thing. Does that make sense, everybody? Does everybody know what the diatomaceous earth filter is?
I know what they are.
You know what they are with aquariums and
Yes.
pools and stuff? my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Taryn, that, or Megan, you've been on that DPW committee way back when Mark Wilder was pushing Steve to do this, that we have this diatomaceous earth filter out with the Doan well field, and it has, the way they work is water goes through them and it grabs little particles and whatever, and periodically you backwash it to clean it out. Well, that hasn't been occurring. So now we're at a point of needing to have it taken care of. We'll find out how effective the thing is. It isn't, not having it doesn't make our water bad. Having it could make our water quality a little better, is my understanding. That's why I keep looking at you, Taryn.
Yes.
You can correct me.
So with the filter, it does do a back. We do wash the filter material out. There is a backwash, but you never get 100% of the material, the bad material every time. So what this project would do is actually cut open this humongous filter. It's about a 15-foot diameter filter. Take out the material, clean it or replace it, put it back in, and seal it shut. And that's the extent of it.
And what does a diatomaceous earth filter do to our drinking water?
It pulls out all the impurities.
Excellent. Okay. So that's why we're keeping the money in the budget today.
I've seen them work with an aquarium, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just crystal clear.
Okay, so that was the only thing I could, and if Mark were here, he could have addressed that much more succinctly.
That was helpful.
You did.
We still need to vote on this, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
That's why I'm calling for a vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Good.
Are there public comments anyone would like to make this evening?
Yes.
All right.
Jody, this is for you.
Mary Ann Williams, Greater Baldwinsville Chamber of Commerce. As I told you the last time, we were hosting a networking event, and that was last Wednesday. We had it at Fireside by the River. We had over 150 people, business people from the Greater Syracuse area, actually a couple from Watertown, that came in for a networking event. Fireside did a fabulous job, and in fact, booked parties that night as a result of the event. So it went really well, and it was a nice way to show off one of our businesses. Also on Saturday, before we get to the parade of lights and the tree lighting, it's Small Business Saturday. So go out and show some love to our restaurants and our bars and our shops. Wednesday, December 4th at 10 a.m., we have our monthly coffee talk at Hunt Real Estate, ERA, on Route 57. Won't be quite as much fun as sitting in the back of police cars, but you know, they do their best.
Mary Ann, forgive me, could you tell me where Hunt 57 Hunt is?
It's in Liverpool.
That's all the way into the village?
Yes, out of the bubble of Beeville. But they are a member of the Greater Baldwinsville Chamber of
I
Commerce.
was on Warriors Corners that started.
And they always do a nice job on our coffee talks. And then in lieu of a lunch in December, we're doing more of an after-hours event. We call it our Merry Mingle. That's on Wednesday, December 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll be doing that at Tassone's. Must register online prior to, well, December 4th, or it closes at 50 people. We do have a limit. So that link is on our Facebook event page and also on our website.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Sure.
Okay.
James Miller, Division. I have a question on the cannabis opt-in. If we do move forward with that, what governing body would be responsible for enforcement and inspection?
Technically, the New York State. Our local police, Myers, would have authority to walk into those facilities and make sure that they are following regulations, but technically it's the state.
The reason I ask is because when you drive around Greater Syracuse, you both see and hear a lot of these getting shut down and boarded up because they're operating illegally. And I was just curious who would be managing that?
There is a difference between illegal operations and legal operations.
Correct.
And those are being addressed by a variety of law enforcement agencies,
The office,
including our own.
yeah, the state has the Office of Cannabis Management. That's a new branch, and they oversee the legal ones. The legal ones, that's a whole different animal. So,
But if they're doing anything illegal within the confines of their business. I
Right,
would
maybe
assume they
they're
would be-
selling things in addition to what they're supposed to
Right.
be selling.
Right.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Open mic. Anyone else? Cindy, Sally, Vicky, there's no one else in the audience.
Vicki Freiler, Charlotte Street. I guess I should have asked this at the beginning for the public hearing, but the sign ordinance, I don't know what the changes were. I know what I've been concerned about is political flags and banners that stay up every day of the year. Doesn't matter if it's 30 days before election, 6 months after election, they're always there. Does this new sign law address that?
I believe our existing sign law does address the fact that they need to be taken down within the period after the election.
3 days. There is a code.
There are banners and flags flying in the village
Everywhere.
all the time for a certain candidate who, they just stay up all the time, so
And some of the difficulty is when they are placed, back in where they're supposed to be, is going on somebody's private land.
or up on their, like attached to their house. I mean, I don't know what the law allows anybody to do, but.
Anything you have concerns with, you can let our code enforcement officer know, and he will go out and look, and if they're in violation, he will let them know.
I guess that's what I'm asking, is it a violation if it's, because we talked
It
about
is,
this.
yeah.
If it's like affixed to above their front door,
Yep.
and it's a political
For
candidate.
example, in the spring, there was a large banner along the canal.
Still there.
Went back up.
It's still there.
And that individual was
It's never
cited.
come down.
It's still there.
Because if they cut it in half, they could have, but it exceeded the sign law. It did go down. It may have come back, but it did go down. I have no idea why anybody has a political sign up now. There are no elections. It's over.
That would be
One of the things that the codes officer brought up to me is there may be interpretation of the law, and I don't know, Bob, if you have any insight into this, between a political sign that calls for people to take action, like putting 2024 on it, which implies that you want people to vote for this candidate in the 2024 election, versus if there is a sign or a banner or whatnot that simply puts a person's name on it or something, like if it is a sign that says Donald Trump, any different, and all it says is Donald Trump or whatever, is it any different than a sign that says Buffalo Bills? This person, sorry to put the Bills up with against him, but is there a difference between someone who likes the Buffalo Bills and someone who likes Donald Trump? So that's something he's brought up to me, so it may be that this board needs to think about. He said there are towns that you are not allowed to put up any flag or banner or anything outside of the 30-day window for political signs. You're not allowed to have anything on your house that has any words whatsoever. So, I mean, that would even eliminate someone putting up a flag that says welcome on the bottom of it. So, it's how, joy or, happy Thanksgiving or whatever. So there's, we've got to think about people's rights to
First Amendment speech.
And there are First Amendment issues that
to be able to say,
tread lightly around.
I appreciate the Buffalo Bills, or I appreciate whatever, versus, you know, when does it become a political sign and a call to action, so.
Does that cover campaign slogans?
I would think if it was you know, I don't know where a campaign slogan turns into,
When it's
you know,
put
an
on
official.
the news channel and all
right.
of their publications.
Yeah, I mean, again, it probably comes down to interpretation, but, you know, like I said, anything that you see that, you know, you want him to look at, bring it to him, you know, and if we need to make our code more defined, we can certainly look into that.
Step one, I would think, would be to make a specific complaint about a specific sign to the codes office, as opposed to asking our codes officer to be on the road daily chasing signs, not non-political signs. There's certain companies whose signs are like rabbits, and we can remove them one day, and within 3 days, there's double the number of signs back. And that's a challenge not just in Baldwinsville, it's all over the
everywhere.
place.
Everywhere.
But yes, definitely if anyone out there has a concern about a sign, codes office, call them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Call and leave a message on the answering machine.
Okay.
Anything else?
Sally?
If there are no other comments, I would like a motion to pay bills as audited.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And could I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at whenever, 8:12?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good night. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Quickie.